Hi, welcome to Your Inside Power. My name's Patricia Stepler. I want to start today with this quote by one of my favorite authors, Wallace D. Wattles, and it says, "To look at the appearance of poverty will produce the corresponding forms in your own mind. Instead, hold the truth that there is no poverty, there is only abundance." Now, that quote is not just dealing with money, it's dealing with everything. You see, one of the things that I realize is that there is an enormous amount of information that tells us about how the mind works. The problem is that nobody teaches us about this information. So we go through years and decades and lifetimes without realizing that if we'd have just understood this information, we could have had a completely different type of life. So that's what I want to go over today is why, first of all, why is this not taught? Well, if people don't know, they're not aware. And we're going to talk about the 7 levels of awareness. The other thing I want you to realize is that sometimes people are teaching something, but they've never done it themselves. And everything I'm teaching you today, I have gone through at some point in my life. There are certain laws in the universe, and ignorance of knowing them does not mean they don't work for us. The laws of the universe work for everybody the exact same way. If you do not know these laws and you ignore them through ignorance, that doesn't mean they're not impacting your life. And they can impact you in a positive way or a negative way. They can have the good that you desire because you stumble upon some of these laws and they just happen to fall into place, which is exactly what happened to me in a couple of instances in my life. And what happened to my son when he got a scholarship, stumbled upon the laws of the universe, did not know them, therefore you can't repeat the information. Once you know the information, you can repeat it every single time that you follow the law. So understanding these laws is of prime importance to change your life. Human personality, understanding how and why that works. One of the greatest aspects, along with understanding these laws, was understanding the 4 basic types of people. And when you understand that, you can relate to them so much better. And it's not that people are in one of those 4 groups, they're a mix. Everybody's a mix of those 4 groups. Once you understand how that person likes to be communicated with or how that person thinks, you can deal with them in a much better way. And that is huge when it comes to leadership skills. So if you know the laws of the universe, how the mind works, and you understand the personalities, you can accomplish so much more as a leader. My understanding this enabled me to, first of all, understand why people were putting me in leadership roles, but it also helped me to be able to work more effectively with people and be more understanding, more empathetic with them once I understood what drove them and what necessarily did not necessarily drive me. So let's look at these levels of awareness and keep in mind that the laws of the universe operate on frequencies, just like everything else. This whole world operates on frequencies. Everything is energy. It's operating in a different level of intensity. As you start to move through these levels of awareness, you are actually moving higher frequencies. And as you move to those higher frequencies, the world starts to look different to you. You start to understand things that you did not understand when you were at a lower frequency. When we start the first level of frequency, it's more like an animalistic frequency. And that's basically what it's called, the animal. This is when that's fight or flight. We think back to animals and how they react to different situations. They fight or they'll leave. And that's basically the first level. Young children will do this. They'll either fight or they'll leave. They're not aware that they can do anything else. And so it's always a reactionary thing. When you move to the next level, it's called masses. And this is when we conform. We want to be like everybody else. We maybe dress the same way. We act the same way. You'll see this happening in schools because children don't want to be ostracized, so they will conform to the norm. And we all do it. This is why we eat lunch at about the same time. We tend to do the same type of activities. We tend to think the same way. Culture, when you think of culture in a business, culture is very much mass thought. And when we continue with that mass thought, we don't have much variety. This is where we start forming those habits. Now, some habits are ones that are generation. They've been passed down to us from our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents. And they're things we just tend to do. Traditions you have at the holidays, that would be something that would be passed down from generation, habits that you do. Those you can change, those you can just keep going. All moving in masses is habitual. And you want to be like everybody else and go and be around and be like others. Historically, when you follow the masses, you tend to go in the wrong direction. Why? Because you're not thinking for yourself. And this is why people get stuck. They keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's what has been called by Einstein insanity. That's being stuck in the masses. The amount of money one earns is based on their habitual thought patterns or their paradigms, and that has to go with the relationship of money. When I was a child, my mom would often look at people that lived on we lived up on a hill, but there were people that lived on another hill on the other side of town, and they tended to be very wealthy. And so she would make that kind of comment. Well, they live on the other side of the town, or they live on the other side of the tracks, some people say. And she was always comparing to what more wealthy people were, instead of thinking, how can I get there? That's what most people do in masses. When I decided what I was going to do in college, I looked at my family background. I'm a third generation educator. I was following the masses. When I went into the educational world, I was following the masses. I got into that group think. This is what there is.